All right, today we're diving into something, well, it's fascinating, but it might get a little uncomfortable. We're going to talk about the everyday habits that, according to psychology, can actually be signs of lower intelligence. So, let's jump right in.
You've totally been there, right? You're talking to someone, and they're just so confident, but they're making absolutely zero sense. It's infuriating. But what if it's not just them being difficult? What if there's something deeper at play?
Exactly. According to psychology, this isn't just about arrogance or a weird personality quirk. These are actual patterns, habits, that scientists have linked to our cognitive abilities. We're going to break down 6 of these big indicators, starting with the stuff that happens inside someone's head, how they think.
Okay, first up, the cognitive red flags. Think of these as the internal warning signs, the way someone's brain works behind the scenes. And believe me, it can tell you a whole lot.
All right, number 1 is a classic. It's that overconfidence without any real understanding to back it up. This goes right back to that person we were just talking about, the one with that unshakable confidence, but no actual knowledge. And yep, there's a name for this.
It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And here's the crazy part, the real paradox of it all. The very thing that makes them incompetent is what stops them from realizing they're incompetent. I mean, think about it. You need a certain amount of knowledge just to recognize what you don't know, right? And this isn't just some harmless quirk. This is how you end up with really bad leaders who are completely blind to their own mistakes.
Okay, number 2 is huge. It's having no curiosity or desire to learn. You see, intelligence isn't just about the facts you've got stored in your brain. It's really about your drive to find out more. So a lack of curiosity, that's a major red flag. It often means that, for them, learning new things feels like a total drag, or worse, a threat. And here's what that looks like in the real world. They almost never ask why. They actively avoid new ideas, get bored super easily by new information, and just stick to what they already know. For them, new info isn't this cool, exciting thing. It's a threat to their ego. It challenges their cozy little worldview. And that's the key, right there. Asking why. That's the engine that drives intelligence.
Next up is something you've definitely seen before. Black and white thinking. This is when someone just can't see any of the shades of gray. To them, everything is an extreme. It's either totally right or completely wrong, good or evil. There is absolutely no room for nuance.
The psychological term for this is cognitive rigidity. And it's a problem because, let's be real, the world is messy. It's super complex. Being able to handle that complexity, to juggle different ideas and be okay with not knowing everything for sure, that's a true sign of intelligence. And you can really see the difference here. The rigid thinker sees only extremes, right or wrong, and just avoids all that messy nuance. They need things to be 100% certain. But the flexible thinker, they can see multiple sides to an issue. They're actually comfortable with nuance and complexity. It's a whole different way of operating. All right, so that's how people think. Now let's talk about the behavioral red flags, how these internal thought processes actually show up in how someone acts.
Okay, number 4, poor emotional control. You might be surprised, but research shows a really strong connection between IQ and what we call emotional intelligence. And one of the biggest signs of lower intelligence is just not being able to manage your own emotions.
You can boil it down to the difference between reacting and responding. Someone with low emotional intelligence just reacts. They're impulsive, they get offended easily, they can't handle frustration. But someone with high emotional intelligence, they respond. They take a second, they pause, they think, and then they act in a much more thoughtful way.
Oh, this next one is a biggie. Constantly blaming others. You know the type. Nothing is ever their fault. When something goes wrong, it's always because of someone else or something else. And this isn't just about dodging blame. It points to a very specific way of seeing the world. It's called having an external locus of control. It's a fancy way of saying they believe that life just happens to them. They think things are decided by luck or fate or other people, not by their own choices. On the flip side, smarter people tend to have an internal locus of control. They believe that their actions shape their lives.
And it creates this predictable little cycle, the blame process. Step 1, a problem happens. Step 2, they completely skip over the part where they might take any personal responsibility. And step 3, they immediately find something or someone else to blame. A coworker, bad luck, the system, whatever. It's a simple pattern, but man, is it revealing.
And our last behavioral red flag, number 6, is not being able to handle opposing opinions. You know, when you challenge their ideas, they don't see it as a healthy debate. To them, it feels like a personal attack. They immediately put their guard up. And here's why.
For them, their opinions and their identity are all tangled up together. So if you question their idea, you're questioning them as a person. And honestly, having a real logical debate takes a lot of mental energy. It's just so much easier to get defensive than it is to actually think through another point of view.
So what's the common thread here? What ties all these habits together? Well, it all boils down to one central, mind-bending paradox that makes these things so hard to fix.
I want you to really let this sink in. The lower your IQ, the less you're able to see your own flaws. The very tool you would need to spot these problems, self-awareness, is the one that's missing. It's the ultimate cognitive blind spot. And that leads us to one final, really important question.
So if a lack of self-awareness is the core of the problem, could curiosity be the antidote? Maybe the truest sign of intelligence isn't having all the answers. Maybe it's having the courage to question the answers you think you already have. Something to chew on. Thanks for joining me on this.